Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
What is this? Grant
Cows,
in a feedlot? What in the world? This never happens.
Cows. Sorry.
Grant really does not like cows. But I brought him
animals that you can't control.
but I brought him to work with me this morning because he's picking. What are you doing here?
I'm gonna borrow your dad's mini excavator.
He's got a big project going with the mini excavator. But yeah, so I figured I'd give him a little update on what's going on my farm. Okay, so Grant is retrieving his mini excavator or dad's mini excavator for his big project. We'll see if he gets any footage of that. As far as calving goes, I think we only have 10 cows left to calve. So things are coming along really nicely. But my time today would be spent in the shop. Yet another planter project. But I'm okay with it because it just means that the more I get done here, the closer we are to planting season, and I just love that. I'm getting really excited for it. We did have our agronomist come out this morning and kind of talked over our planting plan. It just kind of makes things like more real that they're happening soon. This is a really happy time. I guess it was sad because I left college because, the whole COVID thing. But this time of year is when dad had broken his leg. I'm talking about in 2020. Dad had broken his leg. So it was important that I stepped up and took a bigger role in the farm. And I wasn't even planning on starting farming in 2020 because I was still in college full time. But because I had to move home because of COVID, it's when I started. So anyways, this time of year just brings back some good memories. Things were really stressful, but also it's how I got my start in farming. And so, I don't know, just reliving all of those things. So here we go, the start of my third year of farming. And I've learned so much. And I feel like I've also been able to pass along a lot of that knowledge to you guys. The fun of this is that we're learning together. And so 3 years ago, I would have had at least 2 people need to help me on this, but I can do it by myself now. So we're gonna put this thing back together. So this is what we're working with right now. All the gauge wheels are off, these things, and most of the Truvies are off. Some of them only have one Truvie on either side, and that was so I could check out the seed firmers. So all the screws are in. The hose looks okay. And then this disc is spinning, this Truvie is spinning just fine. So that doesn't need to be replaced. And it was replaced last year. And so usually what we're looking for is how wore down it got, but it's still perfectly fine. So that can just be put back on. And then also I was looking at the mud scrapers, and that seems to be pretty thick. So we'll be putting that on. And a lot of these gauge wheels were new last year, so they're fine. The only gauge wheels that need to be replaced are these. And I'm guessing they weren't replaced last year because they're pretty, chewed up. All right, before we continue the video, since this is kind of a special edition, long episode of Aurora Farms, I have a quick word from our channel sponsor for today, aka HelloFresh. So, you guys know that I do use HelloFresh as my meal subscription service, especially with planting season coming up. When I come home from being in the tractor for 12 to 15 hours at a time, the last thing I want to do is go to the store. And usually grocery stores are closed by the time I'm coming home, and I really have no idea what I want to make Grant for supper. And it's just kind of hard to plan on having ingredients and use them. And so I get HelloFresh delivered right to me, and it comes in packaging like this. And then the recipes are all on cards like this with the recipe on the back. Super easy to follow, and they don't take that long to make. And they're very creative meals. And then, so it's all fresh ingredients. These are green onions. Here's potatoes. They just make it in single serving sizes, you know what I mean? And so I don't have to buy like 10 pounds of potatoes to just make Grant and I one little meal. So I have a whole bunch of stuff. This is what the packaging for the meat looks like. This is some ground pork, but everything is super fresh, and I just really like, using them. Hello Fresh. So I have a code to give you guys. You can use code LauraFarm16 to get up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. Grant and I both really like this service. I wouldn't be telling you guys about it if I didn't use it and like it myself. So thank you, HelloFresh, for helping make fresh meals for Grant and I possible. All right, on to the video. Here are 3 tools for the job. We've got a nice set of pliers. We have a screwdriver, and then we also have this extendable ratchet, which I love. It gives me a lot more leverage, and it has a 15/16 socket on it. So I want to make sure that the spacers are on, which they are. And then I'm just going to spin this, make sure the bearing is still good, and it is. So I'm going to pop this back on. Okay, and then take this right here, start it with my fingers. And this one is reverse threaded just on the side, so lefty is actually tighty, righty loosey, which is very tricky. So, okay, really have to think about it. But I'm just going to tighten that up. I don't want it too tight, but I want it here. So now I'm just checking the thickness on the bottom. Okay. Next, I'm going to put this cap on. And this is where the screwdriver comes in handy, because I use it to like start it in and then use our pliers to get a good grip. And then leverage my body weight to get these attached. Okay. Whew, there we go. Next, we put the gauge wheels on. Tighten that up and make sure it still moves. Okay. And then I just put the gauge reel on the other side. Whew, and we are put back together. Now we're just going to repeat those exact same steps for all of these, except for those 2 gauge reels, which I'm going to need to get replacements for, obviously. Okay, I take that back. Literally, as I was about to start that, Dad radioed, because it is radio season. He's hauling corn right now, and he's just pulling into the yard. He is ready for me to load him. So I'm actually going to load the corn truck up, and so he can get on the road and go back to the co-op, and then I'll be back doing this. So, quick pause. Dad is loaded, the overhead is filling, and I'm headed back to the top. I have actually received a comment in the past, there's no way you're a farmer, you're too clean. So I don't know when like having basic personal hygiene became a qualifier for whether you farm or not. But this is proof that I am willing to get my hands dirty. Just for anybody who's questioning if I'm really a farmer or not, I am. Look, I have dirty hands. I feel like it goes without saying, but as I'm putting this all together, I'm checking that everything is tight, but then also that everything still spins freely. So like I was checking those bearings on those True V's, as I install the gauge wheels one by one, I'm just like bouncing them up and down and turning them to try to simulate as close as I can, like planting in field conditions, just to make sure that everything's working okay. As I'm taking my little stroll out to the grain site, I would like to say it is a beautiful day outside. A little bit of a breeze, but super sunny. I think it's supposed to be like 65 today. I love it. Back to the shop we go. Okay, so I didn't end up going back to the shop. Instead, I'm babysitting this auger. So we are unloading out of this bin here. And right now, I'm just making sure that this doesn't plug up and this doesn't plug up. Everything just stays running smoothly. The overhead is officially full, which means that the augers just shut off. So now we head back to the shop to continue working on the planter. Okay, so do you remember how like a couple videos ago I was saying how sharp those True V's were? I was spinning one on my finger and I cut my finger and I immediately like grabbed it and I ran over to cold water and I rinsed it in cold water and I just put a paper towel on it. I've been squeezing it so hard because I've been too scared to look at it. It hurts pretty badly. I really don't like blood. I'm scared. I really should have been wearing gloves, I feel like. Okay. I will definitely survive, but it's not too pretty. So I'm just gonna keep this wrapped up like super, super tight and put some like electrical tape or something over it and just try to keep a lot of pressure on it. I'm putting my blood, sweat, and tears into this planter. Stay safe out there, guys. This is why I wear gloves, because stuff like this happens. And my hand is dirty, and so it'll probably get infected. Right after I cut my finger, Dad called and had to be loaded. So I just sent him off again. And I'm babysitting this again, because we have a lot of cobs in this sample. So I'm just making sure nothing gets plugged. And as soon as the overhead is full, I'm going to examine our cut. Time to break out this bad boy. Let's see what we have. Gauze pads, Band-Aids. I'm looking for some Neosporin. I think we can find what we need in here. Now that is probably my finest work yet. If it gets any worse than this, luckily Dad kept his crutches around from when he broke his leg. So that'll probably be my next step. But for now, Neosporin, Band-Aid, and some electrical tape seem to fix me up. I looked at it. I don't need stitches. I think I'll be okay. And I think I'm updated on my tetanus shots, so we should be good. Back to work. so close to being done. I definitely should have been wearing gloves in the first place, but Dad just pulled back in, so time to load him again.
Yo, got the excavator all loaded up. Got air in the airbags. We'll see the power stroke and pull her home. We are now at the location, out in the middle of a cornfield. Got the truck and trailer here with the mini excavator, and I have scraped all the trash out of the area I will be digging. So here's what we got going on. So right here we have made a little dam. This is to stop the water from flowing down the hill. There's actually a tube underneath here. The tube lets the water out here and it goes on top of the ground here. So what we're doing, we are going to extend this tube and bury another culvert just to make it longer, because the pivot walks right down through here and gets stuck, and it's actually too low. So the tires of the pivot get down in the bottom, and then the overhang actually gets really close to the ground. See where those flags are? You can see them over here. Anyway, so then that gets hung up on the corn, and it's not a good deal. And then it gets stuck down here because it's in the gully. So we're gonna fix all that. Anyway, so I have to dig around the outlet of this pipe. You can see it's blue right there, and about 80 feet we're gonna put in here. Shouldn't take me too long. Tractors is fun, but running little tiny construction equipment, that's where it's at. That's a lot of fun. This is going really well. Dirt's nice and soft, and almost done. It's not taking very long. It honestly took way longer to get the excavator than to actually do the work. So I'm about 3/4 way done. I might have to come back. There's a few high spots I gotta take down because I want that pipe just to be sitting on the dirt. And Dad will get here eventually with the pipe. He went to one place, they had everything but one pipe, so he had to go somewhere else, which is an hour away. So anyway, we're getting there. After a quick break for lunch, Dad has returned with the tubing. So we're gonna lay that in the bottom. Got the pipe installed. Running downhill. Use these clamps with zip ties to hold it all together, and we'll throw dirt on top of it, and then we'll probably put 3 foot of dirt on top of it after it's covered. And we're covering it up. Never to be seen again. Right, that was a job well done. That did not take very long at all. Got it all covered in. We're gonna bring the scraper in with a big tractor and dump some more dirt on top of it. So this is all pretty much all this thing can do, but really a treat to run this little guy.
It's getting a little windy out there. Maybe all this running around is just making me look ragged. We're so close. We're down to the last 2 row units. Let's see if we can finish this before Dad comes back again. Whew. Now, I would say that's a wrap on the planter, but it's not. While I'm talking, everyone, just be scanning the ground for any parts I may have missed. I really don't think I did, but just keep an eye out and comment if you see something that I missed. Anyways, so I have all of these put on. I'm just doing a little inspection here. I tried to pay really close attention and do everything right, except for these 2. Okay, we have 2 gauge wheels that we need to put on each. I did discover one more that needed to be replaced. That's just unacceptable. Somehow I ended up 1 bolt short. I don't know how that happened. It might be somewhere on this table. might have been blown away / swept away. So once I get new gauge reels, I'll need to put those on. And then I really don't know why this row unit is off. I'll ask Dad. But that row unit needs to be put back on. All of the vacuums need to be connected. And some of the worm drives need to be reconnected. Here, these two. But for today, that's all the planter wrote. So, thank you for coming along on today's farming journey. I made it out with all my fingers, barely, and some of my sanity is left, I think. But thank you for tuning in to today's video. I hope you guys maybe learned something, or at least were slightly entertained by my day. I really enjoyed making these for you guys. So if you want to see more and keep up to date, I'm going to be starting to put out a lot more videos since planting season is coming up. So be sure to turn on the post notifications and subscribe if you haven't. I hope you guys have an enjoyable day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.